The platform known as X, under Elon Musk's ownership, has long promised a push toward greater transparency to tackle the pervasive issues of misinformation and inauthentic behavior. That promise came to a head this past weekend with the quiet rollout of a new About This Account feature, a tool designed to show the country of origin where an account is truly based, derived from IP data, not user-submitted details. What followed was an immediate, explosive revelation that has sent seismic shockwaves through the American political landscape, throwing into question the very authenticity of online political discourse. The feature, lived for only a brief period before being temporarily pulled offline, functioned as an instant truth serum. It exposed a fundamental disconnect between the profiles users present and the nations from which they operate. Accounts that had amassed massive followings, in some cases exceeding 1 million users, while vociferously championing America First or pro-conservative political causes, were unmasked as being administered thousands of miles away. The most jarring discovery centered on Nigeria. Several highly influential accounts, which consistently posted content focused on extreme patriotism, critiques of U.S. immigration policy, or fervent support for specific American political figures, were conclusively traced to operators based in Lagos, Abuja, or other parts of the West African nation. Take, for example, the popular Ivanka News account, a highly visible profile with over 1 million followers, which was revealed to be operating out of Nigeria. Another key pro-MAGA account with tens of thousands of followers was also pinned to a Nigerian base. Beyond Nigeria, similar foreign-based operations were traced to Eastern Europe, Russia, and South Asia. The contrast between the fervent, U.S.-centric political identity these accounts projected and their actual operational base sparked immediate outrage and political confrontation. For critics of the accounts, the findings were a powerful vindication, demonstrating long-held suspicions that foreign actors were systematically involved in shaping American domestic political narratives, often for financial gain or geopolitical influence. The reaction was immediate. Thousands of posts erupted, using the new transparency data to mock, challenge, or permanently mute accounts suddenly exposed as inauthentic. Influencers on the liberal side were quick to declare the feature a digital Armageddon for a segment of the online right, celebrating what they termed the definitive exposure of foreign manipulation. On the other side, the exposed accounts and their defenders cried foul. They swiftly accused X of technical errors, citing the possibility of misattribution due to VPN usage, global travel, or the use of proxies. The argument centered on technical inaccuracies versus outright deception, with the exposed users denying any malicious intent, even as evidence of coordinated, politically charged yet internationally sourced behavior mounted. The pressure proved too great, even for a platform known for weathering controversy. Within hours of the mass exposure, X's engineers temporarily disabled the country of origin feature. The company clarified its position, stating that the move was necessary to address potential technical shortcomings, particularly concerning the accurate tracing of users who rely on VPNs or who manage large, globally distributed organizational accounts. They maintained that the feature's intent was solid to verify user context and promised to re-roll it out once reliability concerns were ironed out. However, the genie is out of the bottle. This brief glimpse into X's underlying data has permanently altered the understanding of political discourse on the platform. The revelation that key voices in highly sensitive political debates are being sourced internationally, rather than organically in the U.S., raises critical questions about data security, the integrity of elections, and the future of social media as a genuine public square. It forces both users and governments to grapple with the realization that some of the loudest, most aggressive, and highly followed patriotic voices online may not be based in the U.S. at all, but rather in places like Nigeria, seeking to profit or influence from narratives specifically tailored for an American audience. The platform's attempt at transparency has inadvertently exposed the deep, complicated, and often surprising ways geopolitics intersect with the global digital economy. Good evening. The legal and political landscape saw a major shift today, as a federal judge moved to dismiss the high-profile indictments against two prominent figures, former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. U.S. District Judge Cameron Curry, sitting in Virginia, issued the ruling that effectively scuttled these criminal cases, finding that the prosecutor who brought the charges was unlawfully appointed. This decision, immediately celebrated by the defendants, marks a significant blow to the Justice Department's efforts to prosecute these politically fraught cases. Let's first detail the gravity of the charges that were dismissed. Former FBI Director James Comey was facing a charge of making false statements to Congress and another count of obstruction. These charges stemmed from events during his tenure, relating to the handling of sensitive memos and his interactions with the White House. Mr. Comey's indictment came years after his high-profile dismissal from the FBI and subsequent involvement in various investigations, solidifying his status as a central figure in the ongoing political battles. Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Letitia James, known nationally for her aggressive civil suits against major entities and political figures, including President Donald Trump, was federally indicted on charges of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. Both defendants had pleaded not guilty to the respective allegations, consistently denouncing them as politically motivated. These were undeniably cases steeped in political controversy, pitting the Justice Department against two individuals who have been perceived as political adversaries of the current administration. However, the foundation of Judge Curry's ruling rested not on the merits of the allegations against Comey and James, but on a critical procedural flaw concerning the authority of the prosecutor who filed the cases. The indictments were brought by Lindsay Halligan, who was serving in the capacity of an interim U.S. attorney. Judge Curry found that Ms. Halligan's appointment was invalid, reasoning that the procedures used to install her in the role violated constitutional requirements for how principal officers of the United States are appointed. This finding strikes directly at the heart of the Justice Department's procedural authority. Ms. Halligan is a former insurance attorney who previously served as a personal lawyer to President Donald Trump. Her transition to the role of a federal prosecutor, particularly one overseeing such politically charged cases, had drawn immediate scrutiny from the defense teams and legal experts. The judge's decision was clear. An unlawfully appointed officer lacks the necessary constitutional authority to bring criminal charges against citizens, regardless of the potential evidence supporting the charges. The court essentially voided the indictments from their inception due to this fundamental lack of prosecutorial legitimacy. It is important to note that the Justice Department had previously voiced full support for Ms. Halligan's authority, even as other federal judges in different districts had raised similar questions about the legality of certain interim appointments made by the administration. This ruling in Virginia, involving two of the most high-profile cases currently on the docket, adds significant weight to the growing legal challenge regarding these appointments nationwide. The dismissal was granted without prejudice, a crucial legal distinction. This means that while the current indictments are dropped, the Justice Department is not barred from refiling the charges, provided they do so through a properly authorized U.S. attorney. However, with the statute of limitations reportedly nearing its end for the charges against Mr. Comey, any attempt to refile may prove to be a significant, if not insurmountable, legal hurdle, making today's dismissal potentially fatal to the case in the long run. The reactions from the defendants were swift and pointed. Mr. Comey released a statement and video expressing gratitude for the court's decision. He did not mince words, describing the prosecution as being, quote, based on malevolence and incompetence, and expressing heartbreak over what he claimed the Justice Department has become under Donald Trump. This ruling provides significant vindication for both Mr. Comey and Ms. James, who have repeatedly denounced the charges as a form of political retaliation. For the White House and the Justice Department, this ruling represents a major setback. It underscores the danger of pursuing high-stakes political prosecutions through questionable procedural means. The ruling suggests a pattern of procedural overreach that is now being challenged and overturned in the courts, forcing the Justice Department to reassess its strategy and, critically, the appointment process for its top legal officials. The focus now shifts to whether the Justice Department will appeal Judge Curry's finding regarding the interim U.S. attorney's appointment, or if they will attempt to quickly refile the charges using a prosecutor with clear authority. Given the ticking clock on some of the allegations and the powerful legal precedent set today, the latter seems difficult. For the time being, the dismissal stands as a powerful testament to the procedural checks and balances within the judicial system, effectively ending two of the most politically charged prosecutions of the year. We will continue to track this story for any potential appeal or further action from the Department of Justice.